Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I am your cadet master, Giraffe, alongside the best Canadian faculty this side of the Golden Gate Bridge. Today, joining us in art therapy, we have adjunct Erik, who would like us to choose a musical for next term, right?
Yeah, I love musicals.
Do you have a choice
Everything.
already?
Oh, there's so many. Into the Woods. There you go.
Into the Woods. No idea what it is.
Oh, it's great. It teaches children that bad things happen.
I see.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Really appreciated that episode, right?
Yeah.
And Dean Hough, who definitely wanted to go the Klingon opera way, I'm certain.
In the original Klingon.
How are we doing in this Sunday evening? We're pre-recording this episode. Everybody
Great.
doing good?
I loved it. I got to watch this episode again. It's my second favorite of the season, if not my favorite.
Cried a lot again, literally 10 minutes ago, because I just wrote that online.
Oh, it's so good, this episode.
This week we are going to review the Life of the Stars, episode 108 of Starfleet Academy, written by Gaia Violo and Jane Maggs. Gaia Violo, who is the co-creator of the show, and Jane Maggs also wrote, I think, 101, like the pilot. And this episode was directed by Andy Armaganian, who also directed the previous episode. In 108, our cadets have to face the trauma coming from the event of 106. This is time for art therapy. Our favorite teacher ever is back on campus. Before we review this episode, Erik, can you thank the patrons tonight?
Yes, I can. I was looking up to see if there was an official or like synopsis of this episode. So I was just like Googling.
There's no official synopsis. We're too early. We're a day early.
Too early. Anyway, Patreons. Thank you to Simon Staker, Jeff Reeve, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Kung Hui, Takaka Nagumo, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Maggie Light, Wayne Ritz, Scone of Arc, Sean, Jay Howard, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Joshua Lewis, Tara Poland, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Adam Sanders, Amy the Magic Snail, Aaron W., Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Sedano 317, Pukahar, 3 Fries Short, Cat Tip, Tripping the Reed Alert over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher at the Bat, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Butchwald, David Prime Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Rod Griner, Eric the Red, Trouble, Jamie Roberts, Honeyberry, Paul Taylor Pitt, Brett Jones, Michelle P., Margin Walker 82, Melissa Bartel, Jesse Robbins, Kim, it's all caps. Chris Finolio, Felix Dax, Kelly McKinnon, Chief Petty Officer Snuggles, Lisa Moore, Kristen Bayer, Big Easy Blasphemy, Christian Smith, and our newest Patreon collective member, Brad DeMog.
Yay.
Hey, thank you, patrons. And of course, a big thank to our bad mail, our EPs who sent us to Ibiza last Thursday. And this Thursday, sending us to a spa. Thank you so much. A magical spa. We get to stay 5 years at the spa, and it's just a day on Earth. Great. Simon Stayer, Chris Waterman, Tara Poland, Dana, Matt Harker, Jim McMahon, Maggie Light, Theth, Michael Graham, and Jesse. Do we have any news? I'm sure there are news, but Julian didn't tell us. And this is definitely the cool kids table here.
No news on my end anyways.
Erik is just mapping things.
I'm muted.
Yeah, I was like, this episode, my friends, I'm just gonna tell you that Julian is gonna have to edit this and be, what are they doing? This is what happens when I leave them alone.
We'll just know that I was speaking truth and just like the most deep things while I was muted.
Philosophy.
Sure.
Any news?
I was talking about. I assume the news is that Paramount is paying us to go on the cruise, right?
What? Are they?
Right?
Oh.
I assume. No?
Oh yeah,
No,
we're all
I-
currently on the cruise.
We're currently on the cruise. That's why everything's all getting fucked up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, there's not enough money to lock me on a boat.
Mm.
Let that be known. No, unfortunately, we're not being paid to go on the cruise, but friend of the pod, Jessie Gender, is there. I hope she's having
Ooh.
fun. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Good for
A few
her.
people are there. Yeah, I think few collective member are on the cruise also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I unfortunately have to work. I don't know you guys, but
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Same. Unfortunately, my work will not pay for my cruise,
yeah, exactly.
especially at the prices that the cruise is.
Yeah. I though just because we're like not doing news or we don't have any news. I mean, we're currently Julian is recording with Cries of Moss, which should come up soon. But I have to say that I would love to have a official Star Trek convention like in Chicago a few years ago. That would be nice. That is not on a boat, but
Mhm.
you know, on
a
dry
plane?
land. No, just dry land, just somewhere where you know I can drive to. That'd be fantastic. Okay, so if we don't have any news, episode 8 review the life of the stars. I know so many of us wanted to review this episode because I know we all were touched by it. The episode starts by the doctors giving us his log. How many dawn have I seen alone? I was there the whole time. Is that a game changer reference?
Yes.
I think there's so many dropout alum voicing the dots on this show that
I assume they're going to
want-
show up in real life one day. One day.
Listen, I want to believe that I was here the whole time is a ref to a game changer. I
will agree it. I will agree. That is exactly what it is.
Exactly. Time is their beast. Time is my beast. What did you think of this opening by the doctor standing alone in the sleeping academy looking at the dawn? We're going to go Hough, Erik, and me.
It's weird. Like I almost didn't recognize the doctor in that from his tone. He seems, obviously with like, a millennia of experience behind him, and that he's a lot wiser in that. But there's something very sad in his voice when he was talking about it. As we mentioned about, he's watching the same dawn that students are waking up to, and that with, full of expectation and hope and that. And he's like, no, nothing's changed. And it's like, I was here to witness them all. Everything's still the same. It's a pessimism from him, but I don't know if, have we seen this before? I mean, he could always be a bit of a grump, but this seems way different.
Mm-hmm. Erik?
I love this episode for so many reasons, but the reason I loved this from the beginning, and after watching this, I've seen this episode 2 or 3 times, is that this perfectly mirrors the opening of Our Town, this beautiful play that I have and I've had for such a long time. This is actually a replacement because my Samuel French copy dissolved.
And it's already very footnoted.
There's so many notes in here, like the appendices and the intros are so amazing. This version is really good. It was re-released in 2020. We are not sponsored by this copy, but this is a good version to have if you want like good reference material in general. The beginning of the play Our Town starts with a stage manager in darkness. They talk about it in the episode, which is actually beautiful, and it sort of mirrors the doctor here, who's here talking to the audience, which is sort of this ethereal, eternal person. That's who the stage manager is. He goes through time. Like he's not in the play, he's outside of the play. He's both. He's always going in and out. And the doctor's sort of like this. Like he's this person that has been with everyone, but also goes past them. He goes through them. He lives past them because he lives eternal, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a melancholy, there's a sadness, but there's also this knowing that the day just keeps going. Like they just have to keep moving. And I don't think he's sad. He just knows that this is our place. We'll get into the theme of this episode very soon, but I think that mirroring is what makes this episode so brilliant. If you've never seen Our Town, there is a pro shot version that's on YouTube. I think there are two versions of it, one from 1989 and one from, I want to say 2003. Both really good productions. It was actually remounted, I want to say 2 years ago with who's Sheldon. Sheldon played the stage manager.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name.
That guy.
Yeah. But
why can't I think of his name?
Isn't it Jim something?
Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons, yeah.
Jim Parsons. Yeah, here we go.
You.
But yeah, it's a brilliant opening. It shows him outside of time, but living with all these kids that he knows that he's gonna outlive. It's sad, but it's also beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I really, really liked that meta layer that exists in that episode, that you can really read it as, yes, a play, as a TV show, as each of the characters playing their part, but also them playing the part of a play. I really like that mise en abîme. I don't know how you say that. Mise en abîme. I don't know how you say that, but not introspection, but layer things that you go. This is gonna be a long podcast, my friends. I have no English tonight.
I'm gonna go through each of these notes.
But I really appreciated that parallel, and also, let's be honest, this is such a late 1930s play. Like there's a play in French literature that also kind of have that same feeling, with like the darkness, like starting in the night and like that ending in the night. So I really appreciated that. It was a very literary episode, but also a very Star Trek episode, which shows us that Star Trek is also built in a way that, with those opening logs and end logs that always takes us out and in the episode, like this introspection that we get as a viewer. That was interesting, that they really built that episode as a way to reflect on that. I'm a literature nerd, you're a theater kid, so that's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of nerdism in this review. Tarama is back with a new neuro inhibitor, and she's transferred to Starfleet Academy from the War College. Taram is being a humongous dick. The cadets are struggling to get together and pass through the trauma of the events of the Miyazaki. They're all very visibly shaken and going through this unaddressed trauma. And Nala Ake asked the help of a favorite Discovery crew. Tilly is back. Please change my life, Lieutenant. She is going to teach theater to the cadet as a hidden counseling session. Nala asked her to bring the lost cadets back to port, metaphorically, through hidden grief counseling. I know none of us is surprised to see that Tilly is a theater kid, let's be honest, and a theater teacher. What do you think of finally her reintroduction into the academy? Hough?
This was such an interesting way to bring her back, and now that I'm thinking of it, and that it's not unlike our introduction to the Doctor, and that, as I noticed, like the Doctor seemed a little somewhat different in that, but like Tilly is vastly different. Still the same Tilly in that we knew from Discovery, and that, it's like, the one full of joy in that, but like the confidence level is just like through the roof. And that, we knew her as like the, from season one, that, as the shaky cadet, talked so much in that to kind of, express what all her emotions that she was going through at that point. Now she's very succinct. She's calm. Her giving that playful hug to Jet Reno was great, and that, but like, the captain asking her to bring the cadets home, and that she's like, got it. She's not stressed about it. She knows, she's on the job.
Yeah. Erik?
Yeah. Who's surprised that Killy is a theater kid, right? Like someone who could portray that persona without really knowing the real Killy.
Mm-hmm.
She nailed it. Of course she's a theater kid.
Give me the costume. I'll tell you the lines.
Damn straight. I love that. I love that she's a drama therapy person. Like, I have a friend that's a drama therapist, so I'm really interested to see what she thinks about this episode, because what she was doing in this episode fully is what my friend does in her life. Like, she works with mostly kids now. I shouldn't really talk about this, but I can maybe talk about generalities. But she doesn't necessarily use plays because kids that she sees are too young, but she does work through issues, going through scenarios and stuff. And I thought about her as I watched this episode. I was like, this is a brilliant way, especially these kids who had just gone through such a giant, trauma event, to do this. And especially with Tilly being, someone who's been ripped out of her time, the biggest drama out of all of these people, at least most of these people. She's the perfect person to talk these to. I'm surprised you didn't even mention that. Or do the kids know what
they must
I assume?
I mean, they must know. Like, there's no way they don't know the crew of the Discovery.
But they're all new, right? They're coming from different worlds. They might not know the history of Starfleet.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Jet Reno most probably has blabbed a lot about it, and I think we see her talk about it in class that she's,
that's
women out of time, and I feel that I was so happy to see Tilly. Because everybody has been asking, where is Tilly? Where is Tilly? Where is Tilly? And I'm glad that they actually give her like a thing to do and not just be like, one of the teacher. No shade to Jet Reno. I'm glad that she was entering the episode with a purpose that was really matching who Tilly is, because Tilly also was super young when she got ripped out of time. She didn't really had a life before, she just lost everything in a moment. And I think Discovery addresses a little bit the trauma, especially with the helmsman. What's her name? Yep.
Oh my God, it's been such a long time.
We need to rewatch Discovery. But when she's going through like a lot of PTSD and all this, but I feel that there's really not been an episode talking about them adjusting to being in the future. And read Wonderlands by Una McCormack, who talks about the year that Michael spends before the Discovery arrives, and that's where she meets books and so on. And I think that Tilly is also such a gentle force and somebody that has been very honest about her fears and her trauma and her being bullied. And I just so happy to see that she's using everything she learned from going through those horrible, horrible events to help the cadets. I love that. I love that when she was interacting with Jet Reno. When they're like being there.
I love
Starfleet. That was really, really fun. Like, I miss the Discovery crew so much, honestly.
It'd be nice to see Detmer back.
Hey, Detmer, thank you. Detmer and Oshikun just being a happy married couple. We'd love to see this because Discovery finale robbed us from that.
They did, didn't it?
I just had a little minus about this scene is that when they talk about Sam, I was kind of like, I don't know, having these like 3 white women talking about the black girl being so joyful. She's so full of joy. And like, meanwhile, Sam is literally dying, by the way. But because they want to see that joy, they don't see that she's hurt. And I was like, I know that's what the episode is trying to do, but I didn't like that scene so much. Like when they cheer to her about so joyful, so happy, I'm like, not.
She's suffering.
Yeah, she's suffering, and usually, people that are like trying to be very loud about their happiness or very funny are very often people that are suffering a lot. And I didn't like the fact that they couldn't see that or choose not to see that. But the cadets are back in class, and they are presenting their choice of play. Jaden Klingon opera. I was so here for it. Murder. So much murder. So much blood. But he's also sick and refuses to take the time to recuperate. Tilly sends him away. Again, we can't have everybody on set, apparently. Sam chooses Our Town by Wilder because it's relevant to people, to organics. It has something to do with hopeful defiance. I wrote, anyone read that play? But actually, we know Erik has many notes. Hough, have you any knowledge of that play? Were you interested by that choice?
Beyond the title, I really don't know much about the play itself. I've heard it brought up in that. Between this and episode 106 with the King Lear references and that, I'm thinking I really got to start, brushing up on my literature again.
Yes, you do.
You need to catch up because you're lucky that Emcee is not here.
Mhm.
Because she's another one that knows her plays. Erik, tell us about what you thought of that choice of Our Town. Were you surprised to see it portrayed in Star Trek?
I was, mostly because when I saw the title of the episode, I was like, "Oh, that's a weird way to," because I knew the quote from it was a preface to a Time article that was written with Thornton Wilder about a week after it premiered in 1938. I want to say 1938. So it was nice to see that there. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then they started talking about the play, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This play is regarded as one of the best American created plays, if not the best and the most popular. They say that there's at least one production of this play every day of the year, all the time, which is crazy. It's one of the most produced plays, second to Shakespeare. That being said, this play has been known to come around during times of trauma. Like there was a resurgence after 2001, after the Sandy Hook shooting in 2013, I want to say 2012. I can't remember. There's a resurgence in this because it is about life and appreciating. We're going to talk about this later. Appreciating the minutiae of just living life, and we'll get into that. So I was happy to see this. This was perfect for this. The fact that the authors of this episode and the director of this episode mirrored the play so perfectly with the storyline was it was brilliant.
Yeah, I was not surprised that it was going to go around the play because I felt it was already very stage-like in how it was directed and how the story was written. So I didn't expect the play to be so important in the storyline of the episode, but I really appreciated that Sam goes through everything, right? She reads literally every single play. I'm happy it's an American play and not yet again Shakespeare or Moby Dick. Also, it's a play that is centered around a female character and the dead girl, Emily. I mean,
sort of.
No.
it is, but it's more. Yeah.
I have to say that for me, so I read the play in between when we saw the first piece. It is very American. Oh yeah. In the very kind of how can I say that? Very it's the little things of life. And I'm like, is it though? Is it though really only the little things of life? It's a bit kumbaya,
The reason why he wrote this play, which is really interesting, and I think you'll find this interesting, is he used to be an archaeology student, right? Thornton Wilder. So when he was in Rome digging up stuff like you guys do, He
Well,
was
in the 30s, it was mostly stealing stuff, but yes, let's
Yeah.
say it was digging up stuff.
I
For
guess this
sure.
was in early 1900, like even before then. So yeah, even
Yeah,
more
definitely stealing stuff then. Okay.
So when he was procuring things, he was thinking about like what his life would be like now at that time, 1,000 years in the future, right?
Mhm.
Like how would people like see it? Like what would they be talking about? So he thought about the everyday, and that's what the sort of play became. Like he thought about how the Romans back then would live and do this, and he's talking about the pottery and stuff, and that's sort of how this came about.
Yeah, there's definitely a human constant, right?
Yeah.
We all have like a pyramid of need, and we all love, we all fear, and definitely, yeah. When people think of ancient Rome and they imagine them like being better or grander or more intelligent, like that kind of like the past was better, people were better. It's not true. People were as stupid as we are right now. Like we just have more technology. This is pretty much it. We're more knowledge about things because that's how progress goes. But this true, there's that constant. But I think it's more for me what was a little bit about it is that it is a way to go through trauma, to be like, everyday life is worth living. There's something
Mhm.
for me that negates the hurt, that negates how you go through very big event and very traumatic event, and telling people, oh, but life goes on and your life is a blip. But I'm just like, nah. I know that if you tell me that, I will tell you to fuck off. But it is me. Sexy French depression, always, um During a presentation of the play, Sam glitches and passes out. The patches from the holospa has been glitching for weeks, and she said nothing. A good parallel to Jaden, who said nothing about his cold, or so many not saying anything about their trauma. The doctor doesn't know how to fix her. They decide to take her to Cask so they can make sure that the maker will let her come back. Tarima and Genesis find an empty dorm room, feeling Sam's absence. The dead girl leaves the dead girl role to the dead inside girl. Genesis gets a toothbrush. This is a new loss for the cadets, and they want to know about her. They are asking Tilly where she is. Tilly, meanwhile, is trying to keep them focused on the play and grounded in the everyday life of the academy and on theater. They all go through their own interpretation of the play. Darren sees in the play an expectation to be married and to be happy. And when they waited too long to say what they really wanted, Darren. Caleb sees that maybe he's not supposed to want what everybody else's wants. Tarima just struggle. What do you think of this literature lesson here with the cadet, kind of masking the disappearance of Sam? How do you think of like these plot basically being built inside each other?
No, it's pretty dense, right? Because like one of the things that jumped out at me in that when they were talking about the play was the relationship between Tarima and Caleb now, before like the Miyazaki and like, with even like kind of like before they decided to do their coupling in that, Beta Z style. They were George. They were George and Emily.
Is that what
right?
the kids called that?
I'm trying to be delicate. They were George and Emily pre-wedding jitters, right? It's like two youths full of life, and that, after that, everything changed, right? In a way, they became like that, that married couple that realized that they can't go back to who they used to be. As far as masking Sam, I mean, like, it's like they're helpless as far as like what they can do for Sam. I realized that Starfleet is too because I didn't quite realize after episode 5 that like when Sam, decided to go back, she kind of cut off communication with Cask and the creators. This is what I got from this episode. So yeah, they're kind of as lost, and there's Tilly. She's got to keep them focused in that. Even if they don't realize it yet. I know Tarima comes to realization later, but she's got to keep them focused because they're all hurting and they don't know how to express it. So I mean, if you can't express it as yourself, like express it as somebody else, which is the whole point of a play.
Erik?
Truth. Speaking the truth, Hawk. This is such a interesting scene to take from the play because they talk about it later in the episode and they actually gather what the scene is about. So at this point, they're still focused on hurting. It feels like they're just focused on the hurt, not the accepting and moving forward, which they do get to that point later. So I like that she starts with this lesson starting here and then they circle back to it later. Like it's a great way to explore your feelings, explore how to process it, because and then we learn later that Sam doesn't have the tools to figure out how to process it, and like there's so many. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Like
many echoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I thought this lesson was fantastic. Them asking the Sam thing. I think having Sam being gone, like it fits with everything. They're longing for her. They're scared for her. They don't know how to process this. Like it's such a brilliant way to write this sequence to get to the revelation later.
Yeah, I liked that each cadet sees in the story their interpretation of their own issues, which is very often what happens when you teach literature. But I also have a middle school D&D club, and the way the kids play out stories says, I am not a therapist, okay? But there's a lot, and because you all like played TTRPG, that even when you try to not be you just end up being a face of you that you didn't really come to term with. You're like, I'm not gonna be at all like I am. I'm not gonna be me. I'm gonna be somebody that would, like, I would never do that. And it's just for you a way to address a trauma or weird thing that happened to you that you've never processed. And at the end, people are like, this is so you. And you're like, no, it's not me. and I feel that it's interesting in like talking about plays or talking about, stories. Like very often you will see also in the interpretation of the character, like things come out of people and how they read it. So I really liked it. I feel my main issue, and it's an issue, like it's very, like it's not really an issue, but it's that they're masking the grief counseling as a class. And I feel that it could have been just a class and it could have been as good, I'm always thinking that people need to enter therapy or counseling in a knowingly way and being like,
Agreed.
I know I have something I want to work on, or maybe I know I am not feeling good and I need to talk with somebody. I feel hiding the counseling for me was a little bit, especially with like 20-year-olds. So
and people, if people go into something without wanting the help, they're not going to get the help.
Right.
Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah. It's good that it works, but also I don't think it's a good way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And as a teacher, you're not here to do counseling. I mean, you end up doing counseling anyway, especially teaching arts. No choice, right? This is always like this. I was always the teacher that ended up knowing that somebody was being, abused, that somebody was losing a parent, that somebody had grief, like, because talking about human and stories, it comes out. Like that does not happen if you do math, right? But I've never put myself there as somebody that was a counselor, my step was always like, I'm going to listen to you, but also please go talk to the counselor, you know?
I was just going off your thing about, things coming out as D&D
Mhm.
characters. Like one of my acting teachers would always say the best way to relate to a character is to add a little bit of you. It has to come from an authentic voice. And if you're acting something and you want it to be real, it has to have part of you in it. So D&D, yeah, for sure. You have to have that part of you in it. And this is why drama therapy works.
Yeah. But again, therapy works only if you want to do
When
it.
you want it to, yes.
Go do therapy. It is important. Don't be like our parents.
Yeah.
Time passes. We're back on the shuttle with Sam, the doctor, and Nala, and they are arriving on Cask. We learned that time passes faster on Cask than on Earth. A little reference to Message in a Bottle from the doctor. Amazing episode of Voyager. If you remember it, they meet an astronaut from a planet where time goes faster, and they send the doctor there. I like that it explained the impatience of the maker. They are waiting a long time when Sam is just doing her shenanigans. The doctor is more and more troubled. And Sam just stands her ground. She wants to leave. She wants to try. It means I am not gone without ever having lived. Now it's just here being the middle sibling and not intervening. What did you think of this very tense relationship between Sam and the doctor? Him not engaging, her keeping trying and trying over again. What did you think also of the visual representation of this new world of Cask?
Yeah, well, this episode definitely shed a lot more light on the doctor's relationship with her, and specifically why he wouldn't want to be her mentor in that from the first episode on. And that I had totally forgotten about some of these old Voyager episodes that they've been referencing in that. And I don't have access to Voyager right now, so I didn't get to go back and kind of.
Damn you, Netflix Canada!
I know,
taking everything off. What the hell?
They put it on Crave, but then I loaded it up on Crave today, and they have a handful of episodes.
Oh, you're talking about real life? We'll talk about real life. I just rewatched it. I always found this episode super fucked up, by the way. But we'll talk about real life just after, yeah.
Yep. Anyways, yeah. As far as the doctor's relationship, yeah, she's just reaching out and he just keeps waving it away, like literally would not hold her hand during this moment. Not, he wants you can see like the doctor has not dealt with his own PTSD in like the 900 years he's been around. He's taken up that mantle of being like the stage manager, the steward and that, but he's obviously desperate to make some sort of connection. He just doesn't want to get hurt again. As far as the visual representation of Cask, I had to take another glance at that. It looked like they were entering into some sort of a Dyson sphere. Like it's like, oh my God, how advanced is this society?
Erik?
Well,
I knew it.
I love this. I love this so much. I totally forgot the doctor had a daughter. I forgot about that episode. So kudos for them bringing that back. I didn't think that.
If you guys want to talk about real life, we can talk about real life now.
I didn't think that real life. We'll get to. I didn't think real life would have been that like traumatic for him, like thousands of years later. But we'll get to that when we talk about it. Because I forget the episode mostly. The tense relationship between Sam and the doctor, like I thought it always hurt me to see him reject her so much. And like when he rejected her, like holding her hand when she was gonna sit down, like that was brutal. Yeah. Like there were some really like stark and like it felt hurtful. Like I knew he was like trying to not get hurt again, but it sucked watching Sam go through that. The visual representation of Cask was brilliant. Like this is perfect for our doctor, who's the stage manager of this episode, because when the stage manager, they talk about this right before they get the cast too. When the stage manager goes on stage, there's nothing there. It's just him on stage, emptiness, it's black and white mostly. There's no color on stage. I know we're gonna get to this later, but like there's no color because like the doctor and like the doctor says earlier, there's no reason for color to enter that until something more significant to make a memory of happens. That's when the color enters the scene. So having it in black and white, having so stark, is just a great visual representation from our story. And then having the doctor be that stage manager type character.
Yeah, I like that the makers are in color, but the rest is all black and white. Good reusage of the Academy sets, I suppose.
They need to use it. It's expensive.
Yeah. I like that scene in the shuttle because it is really Sam also pleading for her life and that she wants to leave because she wants to experience shame. She wants to experience, struggling. She wants to experience all this, which I think echoes the play so well about like the minutiae of like everyday life that she has not experienced, right? And the good and the bad. And when she cries and she says like, I don't want to go without having ever lived, I thought it was the first time that she was so, I won't say desperate, but so truthful. Hough is like losing light. What is happening there? So raw. And like the doctor just turns his chair. And I was like, wow. Even Nala is just like, like just sitting there. She doesn't even act because she's like, this is between them right now. But I like also that there's a lot of reference. So I'm more of an opera nerd than, I'm also a theater nerd. But like,
Tosca was playing in the background, so that
musical. But there is the Tosca. He's listening to the Tosca in the shuttle, and it's E Lucevano le Stelle, which is like the big aria. Like listen to it by Pavarotti. It's very, very famous, and it means when the stars were brightly shining. That is also a reference to the title of the episode, which I find like very nice. And the aria finishes by. I looked the English translation because I didn't want to translate Italian by myself. My dream of love is now dispelled forever. I lived uncaring and now I die despairing. Alas, I die despairing, and never was life so dear to me. No, never. So dear, no, never. And I'm like, he hears her. That's why he listens to that after. And it's his way of kind of, dispelling his own trauma with what is going on through art. And I thought it was really beautiful because they never addressed his love of opera, and opera is very like, it's very raw, right? It's always like people dying of consumption and stuff.
It's true.
But I thought that it was so interesting that Tilly uses theater, Sam uses theater, Jaden uses theater, and the doctor uses opera, but because over and over again none of them wants to enter his world, it goes unnoticed that this is what he's doing. And his choice of listening to that aria says that he heard her, right? And it's interesting because it also takes place like it's about a garden, and that also will echo the end of the episode where she grows up in a garden. So I thought that there was like a lot of like subtlety in writing that episode that I personally really appreciate it.
I'm glad you brought up Tosca because I totally forgot to mention it. Like it was such a brilliant use of all mediums at this point. Like they're hitting so many levels that you don't normally see on TV. Like I didn't think they would do that. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and I don't even know that they say that it's the Tosca. Like I grabbed it because I listened to it and I was like, oh, it's a Tosca, but I'm like, this is the kind of, everybody's always like looking for Star Trek Easter eggs, and I'm like, there's actually such a like a level of layered different nerddom in that episode.
There's so many layers in this episode just from like all the theater nerd people. It's incredible what they did.
Yeah, there's a lot of like quotes also, like on top of like the game changer.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that level of craftsmanship when you know that And then maybe I'm a bit like too much French on this, but I know that a lot of people won't catch that, and so they're just doing it for themselves and for like the 7 of us who know the Tosca by heart. I don't know. I appreciate you, Guy of YOLO.
Yeah.
I see you. Paralleling the tension and incomprehension that we see in the shuttle, Tarima and Caleb they meet in that whatever room it is, like with plants. And
Arboretum.
she arboretum, yeah, maybe. She's drunk. They're both coping in very different ways and having trouble connecting and reconnecting. Caleb is yet again a content king. We love this. We love this positive portrayal of young men. And we see that Tarima is clearly harboring some resentment towards everything that happened for herself, but also trying to drag Genesis into that mess. Okay. And we are in that triangle of friendship and difficult relationship. It's not a love triangle, I would say, but definitely it's all the grieving possibilities put into this friendship. Genesis puts it as grieving who they were before. She's such a girls. I love that like parallel relationship between Caleb and Tarima, and then Tarima and Genesis. You're just on your way to the next you. What did you think of these like two interaction between Tarima and Caleb and Tarima and Genesis?
It was so good. Like I kind of really, this section really kind of gave voice to like everything that went on with Tarima and that, and where she is now and that, which is not a good place. It's like from her like intro into the show and that, when she's walking through the halls and seeing kids just like whisper about her and that, and basically part like the Red Sea. As soon as you get there, and then finding out that she was basically removed from the war college because like and told like, okay, you're gonna have to take up some sort of a science study in that, because it'll help you focus your mind, and also because it's, if you have one more kind of episode like that, you're gonna blow out all your neurons. So yeah, she's finding herself like it's such a bad place. The relationship with Caleb is way up in the air. She's, all the people that she did know are no longer, she's not there to be friends with anymore, because she's in a whole new school with people who don't trust her. And yeah, of course she's going to drink. I would drink too. But yeah, to going back to have this kind of a two-sided, therapy on that on her part, first with Caleb, and who really, she really doesn't get that much out of in that at that time. But to go to Genesis, was interesting too. And to bring up to kind of bring her into this, like she may be a little jealous, I don't think she needs to be, because I think those two are pretty much on that solid friend footing, as far as their relationship goes. So, but it was just nice that, she did, even at her loneliness, she did find like a safety net, in these two people.
Erik?
I felt this was very real. Like Tarima, from what we've known or what we've seen, her parents, or at least her dad, was very guarded of her. So for her to deal with all of this and have the tools to deal with it, does she have it? I don't know. Like having a parent that's that overbearing feels like they would try and take away all of the bad things that they go through. I've seen parents do this, and it's not a great way for children to deal with how they're going to, deal with people in the future. I love that Caleb was a stand-up guy at that moment. Like he's like, no, you're drunk. You can't do this. Like we're all feeling bad, but we can't just go straight to this because we'll regret it later. Like that's damn Caleb, good man. As for the Genesis triangle, I never ever thought Genesis and Caleb were going to be a thing, or ever.
Oh no, yeah,
I know. I'm just throwing that out there. Never. They have the great friendship that they portrayed last episode too. Like I loved it. I like that Genesis is that person that you rely on, and she's always going to have your back. Like she's always been that person that we've seen so far in this series.
Port in the storm.
Yeah, a port in the storm. the fact that Tarima can still rely on her, even though she has some grievances towards her. Like I love that. Like girls propping girls up is a good thing for people to see, especially if they're younger girls watching this show. Like that's the good thing to do, or the best thing to do. There you go.
Yeah.
Just don't tear each other down on social media. Try and help.
But it is like, for me, I like the fact that it's manufactured drama because we're in a series, right? Right. But I like the fact that these are women written by women, and that there is no like, I'm gonna fight you for the man, because it also perpetuates a very toxic like relationship to patriarchy. Like it's like patriarchy, because you have these women that have the ultimate goal to get the guy, and I'm just like, in the end, this is not what is going to get you anything. It's like women supporting women is such an important message to put out there. And I love the fact that Caleb is really like, he has really grown like through this episode, and he's telling her like, I know how it is to be here and not wanting to be here, but you'll see the little things, which is really about like the theme of this episode, right? And he is being so, I don't know, able to see how much she's hurting, also not holding it against her, but also holding his own ground when she tries to hurt him. Because I think it was more trying to shake him about Genesis than actually having a problem with Genesis.
Yeah.
Terima very clearly is somebody that, when you do things like this, is that things like that have been done to you. Like, this is not usually when you try to hurt somebody else. Yeah. This is not something that people do naturally. This is something that is learned from, family. And we know that she is the one that hurt her dad when she had an outburst. And you're like, everybody needs to go. These women should have been in therapy. Beta Z, what up? A long time before those events, right? Especially with everything that happened. And I like that then when she goes to Genesis, you expect that her to bleed in this relationship, and it doesn't, because Genesis just listens. And I really like the fact that they are portraying those young girls. And I think we said that about Genesis already before. They're portraying these young girls are like young women for sure, but also people who are able to just be calm and be considerate and be nice. And there is a lot of things that they can all learn from Genesis. So my only issues with this is that I don't think that 107 was really taken into consideration in 108. And that's maybe my main question mark about this thing, because I don't think they really 108 follows 107. I think 108 follows 106, and that is for sure. But then there's no reference to what Genesis has gone through.
Yep. Which
I would have found maybe interesting. Like, why write a whole half episode about it and not address it in this episode, especially when she's talking to Tarima. And same for Caleb and Tarima. I don't think they ever talk about him never talking to her, which I think would be something that would show up in this conversation. We have one glimpse at Darem's because he talks about the marriage thing through the play, but that's it.
That's it.
I'm just like kind of confused on where the event of 107 come in play in reference to 108. That will be my only like about this instruction. But I love Genesis in this thing, and I also loved how Tarima is able to work things out through her relationship with people, because she has people around her that are giving her grace, but also guiding her towards feeling better. And that's why you need community.
Well, Genesis understands that better because of her experience of being the admiral's daughter and that. And she got firsthand, like a vantage point to see, like, how a crew of a ship comes together to support each other instead of like, just trying to pass each other over.
And also she was driven by fear, apparently, which is what is happening to Tarima very clearly.
Yeah.
you can't go back. You cannot stay how you are. And it was really like, it made me think a lot about a little bit The Great Gatsby. So we bid on boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. The literature lesson, the theater lesson comes to a very traumatic outburst of Terima. They want us to bleed our trauma all over the floor. Occam has been kind of a quiet force of good here. He's going through a lot, but he's being the quiet one who finally talks, and he's again pretending to be okay. Tilly keeps pushing. You don't want to be the ghost girl. We have grief counseling on main, therapy with an audience. There's a breakthrough in class thanks to that conversation. What did you think of that end of the storyline for Terima, or maybe the climax of her storyline? How Zoe Steiner also plays that grief and that trauma through the character of Emily Hawk.
It was kind of the necessary conclusion to her storyline in this, because like when we first see her in that, as she's entering the academy, she seems very passive in that. We know her choices have been taken away from her, and she's, it's like, okay, she's, she didn't have a hell of a lot of interaction between Ake and the doctor when she got there, right? Very quiet. It's like, okay. The interactions with Caleb and with Genesis were, they were not this, it's like, her drunk and that basically, and that, it's like, and people and sometimes like people in the absence of choice and that they latch onto something they think they have a choice on, and drinking. But this is this was her, like, kind of basically the outburst that she needed, and that, something that she needed to be able to, like, confront like somebody higher up in that and say, like, you're just manipulating us. You're just manipulating me. You want me to trauma dump, and I see through you. It was just that necessary anger that she needed to go through to, kind of come out the other end of it. She's got a lot to be angry about, but when if you're not just going to be passive about it, if you're just going to kind of drink it to numb it away, we never really talked about Caleb talking about Starfleet in the metaphor of hypothermia.
Yes, that is true. Which is a great metaphor. I love this.
Eventually you stop fighting against it.
And you feel good, Yeah. You're just like you get to be taken by the void.
The last time I heard that was an old episode of 30 Rock when Liz was going back to her old boyfriend Dennis Duffy, and she compared him to, dying of hypothermia. It's like you just go to sleep in the snow and that you feel warm.
Yep. Erik?
Zoe Steiner was brilliant in this scene. Like, she knocked it off, like, out of the park.
We established that we know theater, opera, and literature, but like
plays. Sports ball? I don't know. I love that they circled back to this sequence, the cold feet of the marriage scene in our town. I like that Occam being the first person to be like, we're not okay. I'm tired of saying that we're okay, because we're not. And the fact that they got to go through this, and this is their way of showing that they're not okay, and they can say that to each other, and because they all lived through this trauma together. The outburst, like like Hawk said, it was a necessary thing for her to get through. The point of the scene in the play is that they're afraid to be on the other side of where they are, right? They're afraid to leave the familiar of what they are. And her outburst is her going to the other side of that, like her realizing that it's okay to not be okay, and her to feel that. And I like that her brother is the one that helps her through that. Like, it's so nice to see a family that helps each other through that type of hurt. You don't really see it on TV. Like, we always see siblings fighting with each other. This is a sibling that's trying to help her get through the trauma that they shared together. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a great way to pull this scene in the middle of middle end of Act 2 of our town, where the first one is growing up, and this one is going through uncertainty, but that part of our life we have to go through. Like it's such a brilliant way to push this moving towards the third act of this episode.
Yeah, I really like that she gets angry at Tilly, because that goes back to what I was saying. She didn't sign up to be in therapy. She was put into a class.
Mhm.
And I like the fact that, well, Tilly here is the therapist, right? She's the counselor, and she knows what she's doing, so she's doing it in a safe way, I suppose. But there is this thing where I think that also being honest with people is always good, rather than tricking them into sharing their trauma, especially in front of other people. I think there's just like a cultural thing that maybe it would have been interesting to address as a betazoid, how like sharing emotion and sharing trauma, like it's me being a Star Trek fan here, but I felt that I felt very validated by her being so angry at Tilly and being like, don't you see what she's doing? And yeah, she needs to say it, like, Tilly's doing this so they can bleed all over the floor, but also get rid of that trauma. And she didn't sign up for that. And I think it was really good that they put it somewhere, because they're not dumb. They know what's going on. Like, they know what Tilly's doing. Like, they can read a book. They are educated, And I think they all signed off on that and being like, yeah, it's going to be good for us to do that instead of the Klingon play, But Tarima is the one who doesn't want to be the dead girl, or already with the neuroinhibitor, like, considered herself already as the dead girl. And I feel it was really good, this interaction between them two. And it just kind of a weird setting for something this traumatic and this difficult. But I thought it was like, she acted so well in parallel of Tilly, and especially when you watch Discovery and all the emotional and uncertainty and doubt and fear that Tilly went through. This is so good to see her so grounded, and also so basically as Michael was for her.
Yep.
To be for Tarima. I thought it was like it was a really beautiful scene. We're back on task. And Sam needs to go through a procedure. Doctor refuses to hold her hand. We get to see all of her memories that we've seen in the previous episode. And we learn that she cannot be repaired. What took us centuries to build, you killed in days. This ends now. Sam dies. The auditorium is in complete darkness, paralleling the play, and the doctor talks to Sam and recalls his family and his daughter Belle from the episode Real Life, season 3, episode 22, who died because of fucking Bellana Torres, by the way. I don't know if you're like, so the doctor has created this holo program, right? Where he has a perfect family, or where everything is beautiful, and he goes there because he also needs to cope with everything that's going on Voyager. And there is no drama, right? Everything is happy. Everybody is like doing the perfect little role, right? And Bellana Torres decides to mess with the program to show him that real life is not that real life is dramatic, like very Klingon of her, right? Real life is complicated. And basically, the characters became reluctant. There is like manufactured drama, and Belle dies, and he refuses to see Belle die. And then he goes back in the holo program and holds her hand as she dies. It's such a fucked up episode, and I'm so glad that they addressed it. What did you think of the doctor finally opening up to Sam when she's dead, and paralleling it with this episode of Voyager? Hawk?
Oh, man. Like,
You said you didn't watch
I
Voyager for a long
know
time. So.
I didn't remember this episode all that well. Like thinking back, the only thing I remember wasn't there a son also, and he was hanging out with a bunch of Klingon skater. They were bonding over punk rock. Yeah.
There's a wife, there's a son. Yeah.
Again, shout out to the writers and to Gaia Viola, and that's like they had this plan for like from the first episode, right? And looking back now, like they actually went back and referenced that and thought this is going to be a great story for the Doctor and for Sam coming up. Like this is what happens when you have a plan for a season. So it was just devastating watching it, and like, oh my God, now I remember this is why the Doctor doesn't want to get attached, and like, it kind of brings up a lot of stuff you think about the Doctor too. I mean, he was just a hologram with a set of parameters that assigned him to be a doctor, dispassionate, knowledgeable, obviously in that, but a healer, but again, dispassionate. He wasn't supposed to actually care about these people. And then like throughout the course of the events of Voyagers, he became like a person. He developed emotional attachments. And he saw like given his centuries of life and that those same emotional attachments were always going to lead him to the same end, heartbreak and that, because like he was going to live, they were going to pass, the having that direct access to him when he tried to kind of take control of his life and that, and like give himself these things that, we're usually missing from the life of a photonic or a hologram and that, like family, deeper emotional connection than, you'd think. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. That's all I got to say.
Erik,
that was a lot. That was good. I liked it. I totally forgot about real life. I forgot about that episode.
I will never forget about Belena Torres messing up the program and killing the Doctor's daughter.
I was looking it up after I saw this episode. I was like, oh yeah. And then I totally forgot that Belana Torres called them popsicles or something. Like the holograms.
Such a fucked up episode. And at the end, he's so much in pain and he's so sad and he's so like troubled by it. And nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
This is such a 90s episode.
Which is wild because like we had said, the Doctor has already lived multiple lives at that point. Was that time stop episode? Was it before this? Was it not? The one where that
message in a bottle.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
I love that episode. So he's already lived longer than everyone on that ship. And the fact that they're just like, okay with anyway. I love the sequence. There's a scene in Act 3. It's sort of the crux of the play of Our Town. I'm just gonna keep on talking about Our Town this whole episode, which I love. Where George is talking to his dead wife, right? And this sort of mirrors that because even though the makers are hearing her, and that means sort of Sam is also hearing him. Like there's a way for him to connect with this person and talk about this trauma while he's going through it. It's such a beautiful mirroring. It's black and white again, like because it's a sad sequence where he's talking about death, and it feels like he's talking at a grave, right? Like he's there. Sam is just gone, which I don't know if you guys all yelled at the TV. I fucking yelled at the TV when it happened. I was so angry.
Like, speaking about it, I feel like I'm gonna cry. I was so fucked up when they were like, "She dead." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I was like, I don't care. You better find a way. You're gonna.
Yeah, they always find a way. I knew they were gonna find a way, but yes, it was hard.
But I do love the way that the Doctor finally opened up. He's like, "This is why I can't." He's showing his hurt and what he went through, and this is the only way that Akka could help him through is for him to explain what he's gone through. Like he wanted to unburden. He has to go to the other side, like Tarima did, just in the scene prior. Like it's a beautiful way to move this forward, at least as our stage manager, as our eternal father. It's amazing.
I watched that episode 3 times. I cried so bad every time. I know, because first time I watched it with Jesse Gender, and I was like, no, they can't kill Sam. They cannot kill Sam. I thought it was like it's a beautiful sequence, but that was devastating. Like, I feel it is really like witnessing the death of a child again, you know. And when the reference, like, I'm pretty sure we talked about real life maybe in the first episode when we're talking about the doctor like acting weird and refer at the reference of the prodigy kid, and I think I said something like, oh yeah, and also like his daughter died or something like that.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that they used it in such a thoughtful way, in the idea that, you know, his daughter like dies in the, like, it's what I said, like season 3, yeah, season 3, and then you keep like, he keeps trying, right, to find like this connection and all this. There's the prodigy kids, right, and he keeps trying, and I think at one point he just gives up, and he's like, what's the point? And you see him being troubled by Sam, because Sam is photonic, right? And Sam is reaching and reaching and reaching and reaching. And I thought that, first of all, give an Emmy to Bob Picardo, because he was stellar in that episode. Like, just thinking about it, I'm crying. Like, it was so beautifully acted. And, you know, in Voyager, like, famously, he was not supposed to have such a role, but he kept like doing so much with the few things he was given, that it kept like, you know, giving him things. He was like famously going to the writers and like advocating for his character and trying to do things. And I am so happy that the character of the Doctor like existed in Voyager, so we can have this storyline here, because it is about, it's not about the little things, it's about the connections, right? It's about being able to have people around you. That scene was incredible, like incredible again. And beautifully like shot.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Same director from the previous episode. I Will Never Let 107 Die. What happened?
The music
Andy,
start too.
Andy, if you could direct like this, what happened in 107?
They also directed, you know, remember that Strange New Worlds episode?
Yeah,
With that,
Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach, which is a
like, that was
beautiful
also beautiful.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with 107. I'm sorry. I'll let it go. But yeah, I think it was really, really well done. Again, the people writing Star Trek, knowing Star Trek is perfect. The Doctor realizes that if the makers cannot fix Sam, is because the issues is not in her program. She doesn't have resilience. She didn't grow up to build resilience. They never give her the ability to process trauma. Nala was a parent, right? And also went through the loss of a child. There's a lot going on in this episode again. Comes up with the solution. You've been pushing her away. You may not have to love anyone again. Stop telling the story and be part of it. The stage manager is stepping into the light. Sam will have 2 sets of memory. The Doctor accepts to parent her. And we see Sam having a childhood on Cask, with the Doctor being her father or guardian. Everyone knows in their bones that some things are eternal. What did you think of Sam finally getting to grow up, the Doctor finally getting to be a parent, all this? Hawk.
All right, this was the moment I got weepy in that. I was just seeing her as a baby and that, and like the two of them together, and her going through all the experiences, and like, you know, smelling a flower for the first time. Like you mentioned the garden reference and that from Tosca and that. It's like, you know, but yeah, this was like a perfect solution. It's mean, you know, and it doesn't surprise me that her creators didn't think of it first. You know, this is Blade Runner 101. This is why Rachel was a better, you know, replicant than the other ones, and that she had childhood memories and that to cushion her, you know, and allow her to cope with trauma, you know, and various other things. This was lovely. I've never seen I've never seen Robert Picardo so invested in the role of the Doctor, as in like in kind of these scenes, you know, like it really took his character like, you know, elsewhere in that. And like, yeah, this is his character has had like such profound storylines throughout Voyager and that, but in this, It's just so amazing that like he returned for this particular role for this series. Like Picardo is great.
Mm-hmm. Erik?
I thought this was brilliant. I love that having a childhood and going through these experiences is a way to, to deal with how we grow up, like the things we deal with. Like we are built on our experiences. That's what makes us people. The scene where Nala was talking to the doctor and he's like, the only way to deal with my eternity is to not love. And she's like, not love again. I was like, oh, tears. It was brilliant. It was beautiful. Bob Picardo was so good in this sequence. And then like Hawk said, seeing Sam grow up was beautiful. Having Occam read from the stage manager throughout the play, like he reads, I believe the first 2 acts, he reads some of the monologues that the stage manager says,
which is also about a garden and a flower.
That's the little minutiae that make up our memories and stuff. It was such a beautiful way. The 2 sets of memory thing, when they said that, I was like, oh, that's gonna be interesting future episodes, but I'll deal with that after I'm done crying. The everyone knows in their bones that some things are eternal is a brilliant line from the play. I actually looked it up just so I can read it.
Nerd.
I know, right? And it's from the 3rd act, so it was neat that they were jumping around, like just going through life as in our story, but as well as Occam reading it to his friends. Now there's some things we all know, but we don't take them out and we don't look at them often. We all know that something is eternal, and it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal, and that something has to do with human beings. Like it's a beautiful line said at the end of the play for people to realize that our experiences are eternal. Like it's what builds us, is what builds us as a village, as a global village against the life of the stars.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful solution. I have to say that I was a little bit scared that they would go a Star Trek solution and be like, we're gonna use the program and implant Bell into Sam, or things like this. I was like, I hope they're not gonna do that.
It seemed like they were gonna veering towards something like that. But...
yeah, that would have been so lame. I was a bit scared that again they'd go the Star Trek, like, technobabble bullshit way, when like these episode was really centered around life experiences. So I was so glad that that they put that time difference thingy to like timey-wimey the way out of giving Sam a childhood. I thought that was like, again, brilliant writing, because when they tell you in the beginning there's a time difference, I didn't clock that. I mean, I knew they were gonna use it in some way, right? But I didn't clock, they're gonna like rebuild her and like give her like 2 sets of memory. I thought it was so good. It was just beautiful. I love seeing black babies on TV. We don't see enough black babies. Let's be honest. I watched The Pit and there was a black baby. I was like, black baby! Again, and I'm happy that we see like her having like a joyful childhood, because again, like that dialogue at the beginning with her cheering at Sam being so joyful when she's literally dying, I was happy that the doctor actually is here to help her go through childhood with joy. And I think it's so healing for both of them, even if like the sequence is just a glimpse. I thought it was so well done. The kids were also cute. And I love the little yellow dress. And even the yellow dress that Sam wears when she's back in the academy. I was here for all of it. I like that she's wearing a Persian color since like she was born. I really like this. I thought it was a very elegant solution, a really beautiful and emotional solution. Also to steady Sam into her character. Also, I want to say that because I rewatched that episode 3 times, did you notice that when she's talking, I wrote it somewhere, but when she talks to Terima, she told her something about like, is that the first time you have laughed from now? And then she goes back, since now. There's something about like the way she expresses time at that moment that is really weird. And I'm like, there's no way they didn't do that on purpose. There is no way they didn't do that on purpose. Did I write it somewhere? I'm pretty sure I wrote it somewhere. But I thought it was. I now want to rewatch a few episodes and kind of like, see if like actually Sam has a different relationship to time because she comes from Cask. There's something I think interesting there. Maybe it's just me making stuff up, but I cried a lot. A shit ton, so much. We're back in the academy. Terima decides to leave the academy. We see her packing, and the cadets are all talking by themselves in the empty atrium and are able to reconnect around the absence of their friends. Sam and Terima were both not here. Finally understanding the hopeful defiance that Sam was talking about, keep existing despite the odds. Occam starts reading the play, and they work through the trauma and with time, through art. What did you think of this play being read by the cadet as a way to finally address the event of 106?
Like, yeah, I mean, this was the goal. Whether it was kind of shitty or not of Tilly to not tell them that this was the goal. It was nice that it's like they were able to kind of put that aside and finally embrace the actual work. It's like not just the play itself, but the work that they needed to do on themselves. And that it's like, it's such an interesting metaphor. You were talking about Terima leaves and that. It's like, yeah, this is a stage. These the parts that they're playing as cadets have all been played before, and they will be played again by others. And that, I mean, it's a whole metaphor of the
killing me, Hough. You're killing me. That's beautiful.
Life
Emcee is gonna be so bad.
I mean, it's the life of the stars, right? In the millions of years it takes that light from the stars to reach us, and that like how much happens, that we know about, that we don't know about. It's a wonderful theme that they've really done a great job exploring through the use of this play, which now I gotta look up and read. And through like the way they've approached like all the acts of this episode. Like, this is the reason. Like, this season has been the most fun I've had reviewing like Star Trek in a while. And that's since Con and that.
You said that during Con. I was gonna.
I know. Like it just like it's.
You're just a Kristen Beyer fan. That's what it is.
I guess that's what it is. It must be. It's some. Anyways,
Erik.
I thought this was beautiful. I thought I loved that. I love that Occam decided that they needed to go through it. For Terima, for Sam, they needed to go through this play together, and it helped them through. The stage manager reading by Occam was so well done, and that part is always played by someone who's older. So hearing him do this, I sort of want to see him, or at least someone younger, do it, because I've never experienced this play with a younger stage manager, because you don't really think of stage managers as someone young who's but having him read this, and it still felt very poignant and very relevant, and it was beautiful. I give the actor main props. I don't remember Occam's name, the actor who played him. But someone will say it in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
As they're going through the play, we're seeing Sam get fixed too. Like the interweaving between this and them going through this play together to deal with more of their trauma, or at least go through the other side. And then we see Terima come in at the end, reading some lines from Emily at the end of the play when she's there's a sequence at the end of I don't want to ruin this play, but sort of do have to because I'm talking about it.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
If I haven't, it's almost like 100 years old by
it's way over 100. No, it's almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
But,
Romero Carrere, it's his name.
Phenomenal reading of the stage manager. When Terima goes in and she says, "Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?" Like, it's such a sad part for Emily because she's showing how she didn't appreciate life when she went through it. Like, it was such a beautiful way to have her come together with her people and finally get to the, we're going to talk about in the next section. I can see as I'm reading ahead, how she actually understands what the life of the village against the life of the stars means for people.
Yeah, it was just nice. I think you guys said everything. Like, honestly, I like the fact that it happens without Tilly. I will say that. I like the fact that it's not prompted by a teacher. It's not in therapy. It's just them coming to term with it by themselves. And I thought this is such a beautiful metaphor of education also and therapy. Like, you can lead, you can show, you can model, but in the end, whatever happens is coming from the students, is coming from the person. Like, you can't make them, you can explain as much as you want. It is maybe sometimes like I have students like years later were like, I was doing this thing's happening, and I remember you telling me that like years ago. I had never understood that. I was like, and I feel it's so beautiful because it really also paralleled the opening credit with, the plant growing, like that things take time, like knowledge takes time, like understanding takes time. There's a lot, especially in America. I will say that as an educator in America, parents really want kids to just know things. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, I can teach them as many things as I want. It's what they do with it that will bear fruits. Not me. I am old. Me, I've chosen my path, But it is this thing. And I really appreciated that they did that without Tilly around. Like, it was not a stage. It was not in front of an audience. It was in between them for themselves. And I thought it was really, really, really well done. Again, you cannot make people understand things. You have to let them figure it out by themselves. You give them the tools and then you tell them good luck. Tilly has done her job and leaves back to the beta quadrant with the third year. So that means if we get 3 seasons of the Academy, the third year will be somewhere else. Like, we need to, everybody taking note?
I know. I can't wait. And we get more Tilly.
Yep.
Yeah, she would be the main cast. This is great. The life of the village against the life of the stars. One day we will all be gone, but we keep going. And this is what makes it matter. Everyone is back. Everyone is trauma bounded. Everybody has trauma shared. The play is played out. Sam and the Doctor lived 17 years in 2 Earth weeks. They're not the only one. We finish on Nala's log, who is now the stage manager, maybe the captain, right? Sam is reunited with her friend. The Doctor is finally smiling. Life is a heartbreaking, gorgeous blip in the universe. What a shame it would be not to live every moment. A very theater kid episode, a very beautiful episode, lots of literary references. What did you think of this episode in a whole? What did you think of that ending with Nala in the dark by herself in the night, parallel of the dawn in the opening of the episode? Hawk? All of this, everything.
Yeah, all of it, everything. It just, like I said, with this, it not only references, an extraordinary play, incorporates it into the structure in which this episode is told. Also brilliantly references like it's Star Trek's own history from the episodes of the Doctor that were referenced here, and that to even that line about how time is a beast, and that, which is something Sauron said too. Very different take on that, but also it's Star Trek. They referencing its own history in that, and not in like a dumb nostalgia way, in a way that really had some grit and some bite to it, right? Because having it end with Nala Aki, who herself is also the stage director, because just like the Doctor, she is long lived. She is she's watched this play happen over and over and over again, and she's always the one left behind to clean up the chairs after.
Lost a child too.
Yeah, lost a child too. So she relates. I mean, oh my god. Another brilliant episode. I still can't believe this is a teen drama. That I'm coming back.
It is not a teen.
I know. And what was originally sort of marketed as one is that was so clever, because it is not that in the least. It is Star Trek for a new generation, and a new voice that is just kicking the shit out of the writing. Let's go,
Erik.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
This episode ends on such a wonderful note, like having Ake on the stage by herself reading these last words, like again mirroring the end of our story, was beautiful. The stars we see in the as they shot, like the stars are eternal, they keep going, like our stories. It's so well shot and so well written, so well acted. Again, like Hawk said, this was marketed terribly. like just fucking terrible, because this is a solid season. I don't think I've had this much fun in a first season since
Lower Decks?
Prodigy. No, Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Because Prodigy was after, and I loved Prodigy. And I was very, very hard on this series before, because I loved Prodigy, and there was no reason for me to ever be that hard. As a Star Trek fan, I love that they went this literary. Like usually when they do literary references, oh, there's Mark Twain, he's so funny over there on the holodeck in
Moby Dick
in TNG. I guess we're gonna dress up Worf as a merry man, and because he's not merry. Like it's always it's like a bit. This was so much deeper, and like it shows the power of theater and the power of healing and the power of therapy, which everyone should do. It shows a different form of therapy that people don't necessarily know. There's music therapy, right? There's drama therapy. There's art therapy. When people think of therapy, they think of shrinking, right? Just one person on a couch, one person sitting there listening and talking. Like there's lots of ways that you can deal with all of these things. And I love that Star Trek is showing a means of growing through trauma, or at least dealing with whatever you're dealing with in a different way. There are options out there. You might not like one way, try something else. There's lots of ways out there.
Agreed.
This episode made my theater kid and myself jump with joy. Like I loved it. I got to read one of my favorite plays again. I got to make more notes. Like some of this is Star Trek, and some of this is just from my regular being a nerd. Like you should see my plays over there. They're all earmarked like this and bent. Like I have ripped pages in here because that's how much I love reading these types of things. Hawk, read this play, man. Read it.
Yeah. Well, watch it. Do you say
watch it? Watch it on YouTube.
Watch it. Yeah. It's a fast read, honestly.
Yeah,
it is. It's a long play. It's about 2.5 hours. But that's because there are moments that need to linger, because as you saw in this episode, there are things that need to get processed as you go through it. This is brilliant. Like everyone who worked on this show, production wise, the lighting was brilliant. The writers, the director, this is one of my favorite episodes of all of Star Trek.
Yeah, I think this is an episode that for me matches I don't know, Far Amongst the Stars, like episodes that really made me. Basically, there's also Star Trek therapy. Let's be honest. Yeah. A lot of people I read a lot of literature by profession. I also teach a lot of literature, but I also did years of theater. I also love opera. I listen to a shit ton of music. Like, I have a ton of books. I grew up in a house with a ton of book. My house has a ton of book. I go to the comic book shop too much.
It's not
I
too much.
borrow books from libraries nonstop. And I think that when I came to the US, I was very surprised at how many people have no connection to art. Like,
Mhm.
it is difficult to go to museum. Like, I live in a city where there's like 2 museums. So they're not great. Sorry, San Diego, but they're not great. But also difficult to go to theater, difficult to go to opera, difficult to go to listen to music. It costs money. It is not great quality. Sorry, San Diego again. But like, I grew up in a culture and in a country where states are supported by arts are supported by the state, which means that it is very cheap to go to the theater. It is very cheap to go to the cinema if you're a student or if you don't have money. And I grew up also in a family that loved the arts. My father read a lot. My mother gave me the love of comic books. My grandmother would take me to the opera and the symphony even when I was like 6, you know? And it also really helped me to work through things like of life, because I would go through books. I would make up my own stories, and Star Trek or TV like were also a way for me to address a lot of things that was happening to me. That's why I always say also that representation matters, because when you see yourself in stories, it helps you go through things, right? And I like the fact that Star Trek references other arts, when I know that so many people in the US also, their connection to storytelling is TV. Way more than books, for example. And I see it in my students also. And I think that it was just very interesting that, I've been complaining about this reviewing Strange New World, but having a Star Trek that elevates the conversation to open doors to people to go see other things and go dabble in other storylines and also other depth, I think was something that is really needed on TV. We have other shows that do that, but right now having opera references and theater references, I hope people are going to go and read this book or watch La Tosca or try to dabble in those, because that's also how I find other things to read. Like, I had never read Our Town. Thanks to Star Trek, I did, and I think that having these opening towards other stories helps everyone to just be more human, and that's really important. And I will say that I think this is something that is lacking around me a lot. Waves broadly at everything around me. I think you become kinder. I think you become, then also you become less afraid. One of my students who's now in college always told me, "Oh my God, you kept telling us in class everybody dies," because I was teaching 19th century romantic poetry, and it's a lot about death, right? And it's that idea that there's one thing for sure: you're gonna die, and this is incredible that we're all sharing that same moment in time. The odds, to be here living together at that moment. And they don't understand it when I talk about this, but then they come back and they're like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, yeah.
The horror.
Read poetry. It is great. It makes you cry. It makes you
Read
sing
plays.
also. Huh? Read plays. Read stuff. I love that episode. I love that episode as TV, as anything in general. It is great. Go read books. Go watch plays. Play in plays. Have your state support arts. Go to your public libraries. All of that.
And if you're a student, you can go see things cheaper. Generally, at least in Canada. I don't know if that's the same in the States.
What did you say? Sorry.
If you go to like plays and operas and the orchestras, they usually do cheaper seats for students. I don't know if they do that in the States, but they do that here.
they do, I think. I don't know. We have like definitely the San Diego Opera is giving tickets to schools. So we take our students to schools to see operas. Like there are options. I think it's a question of having it accessible because I think that the more you talk about books you read and plays you watch, the more it inspires people to do it. And I think it's great. Go watch plays in the local high school. That's what I do. I go watch my students in plays. It's fun. Yeah, it's not always great, but it's fun.
It's always fun. It's always a fun time.
It's always fun. Okay, well, this is it for review of 108. I suppose we're gonna introduce like mailbag in there somewhere later. Thank you so much for reviewing 108 with us. I will see you next week for the review of 109. Oh my God, we're going so close to the finale. How is that already 10 weeks? Live long and prosper. Sarcastic Vulcan salute. And remember, the life of the village against the life of the stars. Majram.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.